Once upon a time, in a quiet little village tucked away between emerald hills and whispering rivers, there lived a boy named Kaito. He was an orphan. No parents to kiss him goodnight, no family name to carry, no legacy to inherit. All he had was a pair of bright, searching eyes and a heart full of questions too big for his small world. While other children laughed and chased each other through the fields, Kaito often wandered alone, his thoughts drifting like leaves in the wind. He didn't envy their games, he envied their certainty. Deep down, Kaito wasn't looking for gold or glory. He was looking for something harder to find. The answer to a question that had lived in his chest for as long as he could remember. What am I really worth? One misty morning, with the fog clinging to the rooftops and the world still wrapped in silence, Kaito made a choice. He climbed the stone steps that led to the mountain temple, each footstep echoing the doubt and hope that lived side by side in his heart. At the top, under the branches of a great cedar tree, sat Master Daiichi, the village's quiet sage, wrapped in robes the color of worn parchment and silence. Kaito stepped forward, bowed deeply, and spoke, not with confidence, but with courage. "Master," he said, "how can I know my true worth?" The old man opened his eyes and studied the boy, not as a beggar, not as a burden, but as someone who had just taken the first step towards something sacred. He smiled gently and replied, "You will know if you are brave enough to begin your journey." And just like that, with no map, no guarantees, and no turning back, Kaito's real story began. The sun hadn't yet pierced the canopy of trees when Kaito followed Master Daiichi beyond the edge of the village. They walked in silence, the soft crunch of leaves beneath their feet, the only sound between them. The deeper they went into the forest, the more the world seemed to fade. No chatter, no noise, just wind weaving through branches and the occasional cry of a distant bird. Then, just as the path narrowed, the forest opened up to reveal a steep, rocky hill, its trail littered with sharp stones, twisted roots, and shadows that seemed to whisper doubt. Kaito froze. His eyes traced the jagged incline with a tightness in his chest he hadn't felt before. It wasn't just steep, it was intimidating. His legs wanted to step back, but something stronger inside held him still. Master Daiichi turned slowly, his voice calm and steady. "True worth," he said, "doesn't reveal itself in comfort. It is carved through difficulty, through fear, through every moment you decide not to turn away." Kaito swallowed hard. He was no warrior, no hero. He was just a boy with a question in his heart. But maybe that was enough. He took one shaky step forward, then another, and another. The climb was brutal. Every stone he stepped on reminded him of every reason he had ever felt small. Every root he tripped over echoed the voices that once said he'd never matter. But he kept going. Not because he was strong, but because he wanted to be. And somewhere in the middle of the climb, he stopped thinking about the top. He just focused on the step in front of him. His body trembled, sweat rolled down his neck, and his heart pounded like a drum. But his spirit was waking up. With each breath, each slip, each rise, he was rewriting the story he had believed about himself for years. By the time he reached the summit, Kaito collapsed to his knees, not in defeat, but in awe. The view was endless. The sky stretched wide like an open future. The village below looked small and distant, and for the first time in his life, he felt tall. Master Daiichi stood beside him, quiet, eyes on the horizon. "You see now," he said. that courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to climb anyway. Kaito didn't speak. He didn't need to. Something inside him had shifted. He had met his fear, walked through it, and found something greater on the other side. Not the answer, but the becoming. And that was the beginning of true worth. The wind was gentler on the way down. The path still wound through the thick trees, but now sunlight filtered softly through the leaves like quiet blessings. Kaito's legs ached, but his heart was lighter, like something had been lifted the moment he reached the summit. He didn't feel like the same boy who had hesitated at the base of the hill. There was a calm in his chest now, and a fire too, burning slowly, silently. But his next lesson wouldn't wait for comfort. As they followed the trail alongside a riverbank, a sudden sound broke the stillness. A sharp flutter, a splash, then silence. Kaito turned and spotted it. A tiny bird, caught in the current, one wing dragging behind it. Broken. Without thinking, without waiting for instruction, he dropped his pack and ran. The river was cold, swift, but none of that mattered. His feet found the stones beneath the surface. His hands reached forward with urgency, and within moments, he cradled the trembling creature against his chest. He returned to the shore soaked and breathless, kneeling in the mud as the bird blinked up at him, too weak to fly. Master Daichi knelt beside him, eyes full of quiet pride. "You just touched the root of true worth," he said. "Compassion." His voice didn't rise, but it resonated like thunder in Kaito's soul. Strength of spirit is not measured by how high you climb or how far you run. It's shown in how gently you hold what is fragile, in how quickly you act when something helpless needs you. Kaito looked down at the bird, its tiny chest rising and falling against his palms. In that moment, something clicked. The climb had tested his courage. But this tested his heart. And perhaps, real worth is not proven in moments of glory, but in moments when no one is watching. When you choose to act simply because it's right. As he watched the bird slowly rest in the grass, Kaito understood. Not all strength roars. Some strength whispers. Returning to the village after the mountain and the river, Kaito felt like he was seeing the world for the first time. The houses were the same. The people were the same. But something had changed inside him. His eyes were different now. He noticed things he used to overlook. The soft moments. The quiet kindness that stitched everyday life together. A little girl, no older than 7, tore a piece of bread in half to feed a scruffy, hungry dog by the market gate. Across the road, a man paused his busy day to help an elderly woman cross the street, walking slowly beside her without saying a word. No applause, no recognition, just kindness, pure and simple. Kaito stood still in the center of the village square and let the warmth of those tiny moments wash over him. These people weren't monks. They weren't climbing mountains or chasing glory. But they were doing something sacred, living with heart. That's when the realization hit him like sunrise breaking through the mist. Worth doesn't have to be loud to be real. It doesn't need a stage, a title, or a grand gesture. Sometimes it lives in the quiet things, in what we give, in what we notice, in how we care. That small flame in his chest, the one that had been burning since the forest, now glowed a little brighter. Because now he understood, it's not about being extraordinary. It's about being human, fully, and with love. Not long after, under the wide shade of an ancient tree at the edge of the village, Kaito found himself standing beside Master Daichi once more. The wind rustled through the branches above like whispered blessings. They didn't speak much. They didn't need to. Kaito's journey had spoken louder than any words. He had climbed, he had fallen, he had lifted, he had healed, and now he was ready. Master Daichi looked at him, not as a boy, not even as a student, but as someone who had become. Slowly, he extended his hand and placed his old walking staff, worn smooth by years of travel, into Kaito's palms. It wasn't just wood. It was a symbol, a passing of purpose. "You are ready now," Daichi said quietly. "You have seen with clear eyes. You have chosen with a kind heart. From this day forward, you will be a light for others, as you once searched for light yourself." Kaito bowed deeply, his heart full, not with pride, but with something more sacred: humility, gratitude, and peace. He was no longer the orphan boy asking questions in the mist. He was now a guide, a bearer of hope, and a keeper of compassion. And beneath that great tree, with the village before him and the mountain behind him, Kaito stepped into his calling, not to lead with answers, but to walk with those still searching. The story of Kaito, the orphan who found light not in fortune, but in the fire of his spirit, and of Ren, the broken soul who turned his scars into seeds of hope, is still told today, whispered beneath cherry blossoms and carried in the quiet hearts of those who seek something more. Because truth like this doesn't age. It lives on. In the way we speak to a stranger, in the moment we choose forgiveness over blame, in the courage it takes to get up after we've fallen, again and again. True worth was never about what we owned. It was never measured in gold, titles, or praise. It was always about how we lived, with kindness, with compassion, and with the unshakable belief that we are not the sum of our mistakes, but the love we give, the courage we show, and the lives we quietly touch along the way. So, if you've ever doubted your place in this world, look not at what you lack, but at what still lives in you. A question, a fire, a beginning. Your story is not over. In fact, it may just be about to begin.